You could have gotten a free moon swatch. Well, sort of. Let me explain. Swatch is really milking the moon swatch situation now, especially with the newest edition of the Moonshine, which, let's be honest, was kind of a letdown because it's just a gold-colored seconds hand. And every time we try to move on, we're still asking the same question. Where can I buy one? Why isn't it available online? And why wasn't this release executed properly? You'd think with over 1 million moon swatch units exported and sold worldwide, it's interesting that nobody, no YouTubers, journalists, or the press is asking the biggest question that answers all of the others. Why was the moon swatch created in the first place? Well, I lied. Actually, one person is asking the question. The other day, a colleague of mine sent me this article written on the French watch industry website Business Montres by an author named Gregory Pons, which basically spells out the complete history of the moon swatch from conception to what we know today. And what I'm about to reveal to you in this article is going to blow your mind about the whole moon swatch situation. So take everything I'm about to summarize to you with a grain of salt. And if you're new here and you love watches, please subscribe to my channel. My goal is to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. And if you're interested in buying a watch, My Store Carrot & Co. is a family-owned authorized retailer for Omega, plus 25 other different watch brands located in Flushing, Queens, New York. Now let's talk about the untold story of the moon swatch. In 2022, the moon swatch became the watch of the year because without the sheer volume of 1 million moon swatches exported, Switzerland watch exports would have been negative. Now, 1 million moon swatches exported brought 250 million Swiss francs, which is basically a cherry on top to what is normally exported since nobody expected the moon swatch to produce this many sales. And 250 million Swiss francs is roughly 280 million US dollars, which helped the Swatch brand immensely. Now, for those of you who don't know, Swatch is incredibly important to the watch industry because they basically helped many brands survive the quartz crisis in the 1980s. And the quartz crisis was basically the time period when Seiko and other watch brands manufactured quartz or battery-powered watches, which was able to be mass-produced for cheap. Customers at that time preferred affordable watches with high accuracy, and quartz technology put a lot of Swiss mechanical watch brands out of business, leaving only the top players. But during that time, Nicholas G. Hayek created the Swatch watch brand. And Swatch was intended to be a disposable commodity plastic watch that could be produced extremely quickly and cheaply. And if you had an issue with your Swatch, you were instructed to throw it out instead of repairing it. Now, Nicholas Hayek's Swatch brand was hugely a commercial success. Imagine what we're seeing today with the moon swatch, but even more crazy 40 years ago. With their success, Swatch was able to go ahead and purchase other watch brands such as Omega, Breguet, Blancpain, Longines, and more, hence why they are called Swatch Group, because they are paying respect to this little plastic watch that saved the Swiss mechanical watch industry. Now flash forward to the present today, and Swatch is not doing so well. You know who's the culprit? Enter the Apple Watch and other wearable technology watches.
I just think smartwatches looks kind of ugly.
If you were to ask a child if they want an Apple Watch or a Swatch, most kids would choose the Apple Watch. And let alone kids, most adults would choose the Apple Watch too. Under $1,000 is a whole different ballgame, and it's cutthroat. That's why so many watch brands that are in this price segment want to move up market to get out of that rat race. So you can see why Swatch needed something like the moon swatch to revitalize the brand and provide more sales. And so the entire idea of the moon swatch started from Swatch wanting to launch their new bioceramic material that they had invested so much money and time into. Now, the idea of bioceramic is pretty cool. It's a synthetic compound made from ceramic powder and castor oil, and while the technology is super impressive, Swatch does not have the same strong audience as they once did to launch it alone today. So they needed to collaborate with another brand to make Swatch's investment in bioceramic worth the time and money. Nick Hayek Jr., the current CEO of Swatch Group and the son of the late Nicholas G. Hayek, I know it's a little confusing, asked the other Swatch Group brand CEOs to collaborate with Swatch for the bioceramic material. So Nick Hayek decides that the collaboration should be between Swatch and Omega, aka the strongest of the Swatch Group brands. For scale, the top watch brands in the world are Rolex, Cartier, Omega, Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, and Longines. I mean, it only makes sense, right? Because Swatch saved Omega back in the 80s, and it only makes sense that Omega now saves Swatch. So then Omega went to work on what this collaboration would be. It had to be something that people actually wanted to collect, something that didn't tarnish the brand names, and also was affordable. And after some time, the concept of the moon swatch is actually based on a very old watchmaking tradition that Omega used to do 100 years ago. Listen carefully. You know when your car has an issue and you bring it to the service center, and while they're repairing it for you, they offer you a loaner car? Yup, that's what the Moonswatch was originally supposed to be, a loner watch while your Omega watch was in service. Side note, my actual Speedmaster is in service right now because you actually cannot submerge that watch in water. It only has 5-bar water resistance. And so the only Speedmaster I have right now is actually my Moonswatch. But anyways, if the Moonswatch was originally intended as a loner watch, that could answer those questions I asked at the beginning of this video. Where can I buy one? Why isn't it online? And why wasn't this release executed properly? Well, it was only sold in select stores because it wasn't initially forecasted for retail sales. And I also found another article that agrees with this loner watch theory. Think about it, there was only enough produced to go to service centers, and my guess is that when you sent in your Omega watch, you would receive this Moonswatch quote unquote for free as a loaner while your watch was in service. Then when your Omega was done with repair, you had an option to purchase and keep this Moonswatch. And it never made it to online sales despite Swatch saying it would, because I mean, do you remember opening night? I literally got up at 4 a.m. to go online and I lost the scalpers who were waiting since 10 p.m. the evening before. And because there was no way that they could even supply to the people actually wanting to buy it in stores, there's no way that they would have produced enough to go on e-commerce. Swatch was unsure how to handle the fact that they basically created one of the most hyped watch collaborations of all time. And here's a last big takeaway from the article. We've seen people buy and list the Moonswatch over retail, but I think we can estimate that the true price of the Moonswatch could be somewhere around $350. Now imagine if Swatch sold the Moonswatch at $350. They could have made $30 to $50 million more, which just goes back to the whole idea of properly executing the launch if they had known what they had created. And you know what's the most intriguing thing about all of this? Nobody really thinks about how cool the Moonswatch is for the bioceramic material. We all think the Moonswatch is cool because it's an affordable Speedmaster, because once you lower the retail price, you made it accessible to so many people to collect. And here's some of my own final thoughts. To say that the Swatch Moonswatch is devaluing the Omega Speedmaster is just lazy and untrue. That's false because as an Omega authorized watch dealer, Carat & Co.'s Speedmaster sales have definitely increased due to the Moonswatch effect, and I can guarantee that other Omega boutiques or dealers are having the same experience. And personally, I think it was the right move for Swatch to go down the route of retail sales as a way to reopen the world after COVID and encourage people to rush to Swatch stores. And now that some of the hype is dying down and it seems easier to get the Moonswatch, I don't think this is a long-term strategy for Swatch to keep milking the Moonswatch. I mean, the only other version that I think would be super collectible would be a Snoopy Moonswatch, as the Omega Speedmaster Snoopy is already hard enough to get. But Swatch could try to apply this bioceramic collaboration strategy to other brands such as Blancpain's 50 Fathoms, but I don't think anything else would have nearly the same effect as the Omega Speedmaster collaboration. Do you think the Moonswatch should have actually just been a loaner watch and we should have just never had the opportunity to buy it at retail? What do you think would have happened if that was the case? Leave your thoughts and comments below, and if it's your first time here and you love watches, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you still want to learn more about watches, click here to learn about why we don't call the Apple Watch the iWatch. It's been a minute, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.